Okay friends, it is the middle of April and a couple weeks later than I wanted to start things up at the flower garden, but this year has just been a little bit chillier than past years. So I'm just going to give you a really quick tour. So we start with these staked out 20 by 20 foot sort of squares. So this is mine. We're going to do 2 rows of tomatoes here, so we have the trellises set up. This one still needs head covering on it, but it blew away, so we're gonna have to stake that down a little bit better. But this is where peppers are gonna go. And then just so that I remember what all is here, we did 27 rows of onions here. The first set is Patterson onions, and in between the Patterson onions we did rows of Bolero carrots. I've never done the onions and carrots together like this. We're gonna give it a go. It still looks damp from the watering I gave it yesterday. Here's hoping. And then after the Patterson, we did 4 rows of Red Wing, which is obviously a red variety. And then we did, I just wasn't sure how much room we had. I had far more starts than this. But then we did 8 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rows of Walla Walla, which are a sweet onion. They grow very big, generally speaking, but they don't last terribly long. And then we had some more Patterson starts, so these last 7 rows are just more of the Patterson starts. And like I said, I have more at home, so if any of these don't perk up in the next little while, I can replace them, but they actually look like they're doing pretty well. I think this is mostly just transplant flop, so I think they're going to be okay. And back in this section, we're just trying to keep it a little bit more simple this year. I think I do need to spread out the straw a little bit more. It looks like the wind has kind of pushed it away from this one row. But I do have 7 20-foot rows of potatoes in this half. This first row is actually potatoes that just went and sprouted in my cabinet from the store, so I put a bunch of those in. And then we have some Kennybecks. The Kennybecks came as giant seed potatoes, and I didn't realize that until I went to plant them, so I didn't have time to cut them. So not a huge number of Kennybecks, but I imagine that they're going to give good potatoes. Then some Red Norlands in the second row, and then Yukon Golds mostly in the third row. And then the rest of the rows are German Butterball. I got 25 pounds of German Butterballs, and a lot of them were these teeny tiny things. So we'll see how well those grow. But it should be plenty of potatoes for our family. And then this section over here, this is just old weed fabric I had that already had holes in it, so I'm not going to plant this many of what I'm about to say, but this is where we're going to put our pumpkin patch. I did put a trellis on that side just to kind of keep them from growing into the grassy areas, but they will probably sprawl this way once the potatoes are out, and in the in-betweens we'll probably plant some nasturtiums or some flowers or something else to keep them company. But this is where the pumpkin patch is going to be. My main goal this year with pumpkins is to grow, I'll look it up again, but when we put them in here, but there's a variety of pumpkins that is, there is a variety of pumpkins that is hull-less. So when you know when you get the pumpkin seeds and you have to take the hull off to get at the actual pepita inside, theoretically this type of pumpkin is hull-less and doesn't have that, and so you just get the pepitas. And I love pumpkin seeds so much, but I really am frustrated with trying to make my own roasted pumpkin seeds because then I have to break the hulls off and it's very annoying and tedious. So we're going to try and grow those, and then the rest of them are mostly just going to be for decoration. My family doesn't love to eat squash. I don't mind. I love squash, but they're not so good at it. But there are tons of squash bugs out at this garden, and so we're going to try this year the surround kale and clay and see if that helps protect them a little bit. I don't know, I guess we'll see. But I should get some pumpkins even if the squash bugs go crazy. All right, we'll show you when we start planting more.